Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be mapping out the total market cap and we're going to be looking at how long we've been inside of this bottom, comparing it to the last cycle, because a lot of people viewed our last cycle bear market as one of the worst that we've ever had, including the COVID capitulation that we experienced on top of all of it. But I'm here to tell you guys today that so far our bear market has been the exact same amount of time in this cycle, and we are at the exact same moment where we saw a breakout in the last cycle, and it was the breakout that ended up taking us to new all-time highs. I firmly believe that we are getting ready for something special inside of the market, and so for today's video I'm going to break it down, explain exactly why I believe we're about to see a lot more upside coming in the market and how we can be early to capitalize on it before it happens. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, and we're going to be taking a look at the altcoin total market caps because we just had two confirmed breakouts on both of them. We're going to look at both. We're going to start out with this one though, and the reason I wanted to start out right here is because today we're going to be looking a little bit into our last cycle. Many people viewed this last cycle, and really the last bear market I should say, as the worst one that we've ever been through in crypto, and I would have to say that for the altcoins it was, because of the upside was very small and then the downside was pretty massive, especially with that COVID capitulation that we saw there, right? But what we're really mainly going to be looking at today is the time frames, because I continue to tell you guys that this is the most important way that we're going to understand where we're at and where we have to go, is understanding how much time is being spent inside of the accumulation or the distribution, because they both mean an important thing. Now when we're looking inside of the last cycle, if we're looking at from peak low of the bear market all the way back over to here to the COVID capitulation that we saw, that was 455 days. So from peak low to peak low of the bear market, we spent 455 days kind of going sideways. And then after that secondary retest of the bottom, that was where we got that leg up to actually break out of the range highs, right? And this was an important move because this was a successful double bottom formation breakout. And we broke out of the range highs, retested them as new support, and then that was when we saw the reversal into new all-time highs. And so it's an important thing to be looking at this because of the fact, with many people viewing the last cycle as being kind of like the gnarliest one of all time as far as the bear market goes, which I would say it was, considering I was there all the way back in 2016, so I guess I did miss out on Mt. Gox. So if I would have had money in there, I'm sure that would have been worse. But when it comes to the COVID capitulation and just the overall market fear that we had, there was nothing worse than what we've ever seen over in here. And so when we're looking at this, it was 655 days from the point of us actually breaking out of the range high and flipping it as support. And then that was where the majority of the reversals set in. Now I wanted to come over here and do the exact same thing and compare it to what we're seeing in our current market cycle, because in my opinion, this is really going to help you guys visualize where we're at and where we're actually going to be going from here. Now we got to remember that when we're looking at the total altcoin market cap, the altcoins held their June low, right? They came back down and retested that June low, but they always managed to hold that support. So when we're looking at all of these, like ETH, it held its June low. Some of the other high cap altcoins held their June low. There was other ones that ended up losing that and falling lower. But regardless, guys, when we're looking at the total market cap, the real bottom of our accumulation, I would say, started right there. And we've just been inside of this big rounded bottom type formation. Now, if we're looking from the peak low of June all the way over to the peak low that we just went through at the bottom of our October correction before this breakout, we're looking at about 483 days that we spent inside of that correction, right? And so that was a long correction, and it was actually almost the exact same time that we spent from peak low of the last cycle to peak low after COVID. In fact, it was 30 days longer than that. So I think it's important to visualize this, because now that we've already seen this breakout, what we're seeing right now, we're currently breaking out of the range highs and we're retesting them as new support. And that's what's taking place right now. Now, if we continue to hold this support and maintain higher highs above this, this will actually be the first higher high of the new bull trend. Because we got to keep in mind that all we've really done since, December, I would say, November, depending on the altcoins, some of them over here in June, like Ethereum, they've just made higher lows, right? Where they've kind of been below a resistance level, but they've been on this slow uptrend. That's what we call higher lows. They've never made a higher high and actually broken out, but they have maintained higher lows, which is the early stages of an uptrend. That's technically what this is right here. Because of the fact this high is still below resistance, this is only a higher low, right? It's not higher than the prior high, it's a higher low. So now that we've successfully broken out of even that resistance, this is our first higher high of the new bull trend. So that's, the most bullish thing that could have happened. We have successfully seen the altcoins break out of their range high, an over 500-day accumulation, and they're currently sitting on that as new support. So when we're looking at this, I think it's important that we're comparing the two cycles, because it was, at the top of that range of the breakout, it was a little over 600 days in that last cycle. And we're currently sitting at about 546 inside of this consolidation. So the time frames are pretty similar. We're only a 3-month difference from the exact same moment of time in our last cycle where we were right here and about to make that run into new all-time highs. So I think that it's very important to remember this type of stuff, guys. Our time frames are almost the same as the last cycle. We're looking at pretty much the same amount of consolidation, the same amount of accumulation taking place. And now that we're finally starting to break out of this range high, I mean, you don't really get much more confirmation than that. I see a lot of people fearful in the market, which is typical. Anytime we have a correction, people freak out. But it's important to be able to see that, if we're actually just looking at this, over in here, all we're doing is just retesting this range high as new support. And you can see that inside of this red candle. We've just broken out with this green candle. This red candle is us coming back down and pretty much just retesting this prior range. I'm not too worried about what is taking place because I still expect that this is going to be making another leg up. Bitcoin is sitting a little higher because it's been outpacing the majority of the market. And I think that Bitcoin is going to continue to be an outlier, especially with the driven news of the ETF. I think Bitcoin's going to do really well. But regardless, when I'm looking at the altcoins, I don't think that we should be thinking that these things are over by any means because of the fact we did just get a really, really massive breakout. So the confirmation is all there, and I think we need to continue to focus on the fact that these could be taking a much, much bigger leg up very soon. Now, one of the others I wanted to look at here is going to be looking at the crypto total market cap, but this is excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this is just looking at all of the other altcoins in the market. Now, when we're looking at this, it's following along with Ethereum. It's actually performed very well. And what I would expect, if Ethereum takes another leg up, like I'm expecting, probably closer to $300 to $3,500, I think that it'll probably outpace this chart in the short term. But so far, this one's doing the exact same thing. We were below this resistance. We've cleared not only all descending resistance of our bear market, we've maintained higher lows after that point, being here. So we'll make that green. But now we've successfully broken out of the range high and made our first higher high of the new trend too. So all of the markets right now are breaking out when it comes to the altcoins. And it's all been led by Bitcoin making this thunderous move that we've been seeing. Even though Bitcoin has pulled back and we've made such a big move, altcoins and everything, for me, when I look at the total market caps, I always tell you guys to look at the total market caps, because when we're looking level to level to be able to identify where we're at, you're not going to find better things than the total market cap because it's an index. It's not the dollar, right? So when we have volatility that happens inside of the normal markets, this kind of filters out of that. And what we're seeing in the total market cap is this has now flipped the range highs as support. So that's why this box after this point is green, because as long as we continue to hold support above this, I'm expecting that we're going to be making a much bigger move up from here. Because once again, when we're looking and comparing, in the same way that Bitcoin didn't really have any resistance for a long ways up, this doesn't really have any resistance for a long ways up. I would say that our first resistance is probably like $626 billion to about $645 billion. That's a pretty significant increase in value, and this is just the total market cap, but we'd be looking at like almost 45% from where we're at. And I think that that's something to be paying attention for. I mean, we can't just fade the fact that we did just break out of a very, very massive range, an accumulation that we've been in for almost the exact same amount of time that we were inside of this last cycle. So seeing the market do this is encouraging to me. Wanted to give you guys this update, just a way to summarize some of your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns. Anybody freaking out about the correction? To me, I'm not sweating it right now. If we start going a little bit lower, I still am not really going to be sweating it, because the market can dip back down a little bit. It doesn't have to just, keep breaking out and making 8 straight weekly green candles in a row like we have been, we have to anticipate that there's going to be corrections. But like I stated, guys, when we take the time to just analyze things from a basic, support and resistance level, right now we have just seen a breakout. We are sitting on support of that breakout and the range highs of our entire bear market bottom. So we all remember what happened in the last cycle. That was right here when we broke out of these range highs. I'm kind of thinking that we're at a similar point in time. The consolidation is going to be different. The price action is going to be different. That happens every cycle, but the time is the one thing that seems to stay the same, and so far we're seeing the same time. So I wanted to break it down, explain things simply. If you guys found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you guys do want to actually see how I invest inside of the markets, any trades that I take, any NFTs that I'm buying, anything that I'm learning inside of the market, anything I'm doing with my money, I post it all inside of my private Discord server. So if you guys do want access, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up on my website. On my website, you're going to be able to find it. It's just a one-time payment, lifetime access. You guys are always going to have access to it as long as I'm running this channel. So if you guys do want to join, links are in the description. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.